I'm renting this place. It's the middle of the night. I don't have it top of my head, the address.
No, I'm renting this place.
I said many times that the horror genre is not my favorite thing, but I really love movies and stories, and it helps that some of my internet friends are really into this particularly gruesome corner of filmmaking. So I gave it a shot and I tried a newer horror film called Barbarian. So is it any good? Let's find out. I'm Meffistoe. Like, share, and subscribe because this is my review of the movie Barbarian.
Come out that house!
Go away!
Come out that house!
Barbarian is a low-budget horror film directed and written by Zach Cregger. The story tells of a young woman named Tess who is in Detroit for a job interview and cannot get into her rented Airbnb, when suddenly she sees a light in the window and comes to find out that there is a man in there called Keith who is renting the same house as she is.
You take the bedroom, and I'll sleep out here on the couch. And then tomorrow, we'll call these idiots, get our money back, free stay for both of us.
Tess and Keith decide that they should share the house for the night and sort it all out in the morning. Obviously, Tess is very weary in sharing a house with a strange guy, but as much as Keith seems weird, the two hit it off and the night goes relatively quiet.
Keith.
The next day is where things start to go a little bit weird, as Tess gets locked into the basement and finds a rope that opens up a door to a strange and creepy room. She and Keith decide to investigate. Meanwhile, on the other side of the country, an actor named AJ discovers that he is getting Me Too'd and cancelled, and he is getting dropped by managers, agents, and his own accountant. In order to sustain the upcoming trial and his spending habits, he decides to sell off a rental property he owns in Detroit to help out with his liquidity. This house is the same house Tess and Keith rented out and has that strange door.
Really? What'd she say?
She's claimed that you were sexually aggressive during the filming of the pilot.
As far as the success of the movie, it is undeniable. The budget was $4.5 million and the movie made over $40 million at the box office, and this was of course during the late period of COVID in 2022, and probably made way more selling it to a streaming service. I watched it first on Netflix and it was probably on 3 different services at the time. Of the 3 main actors of the movie, I recognize only 2, Bill Skarsgård and Justin Long. Skarsgård played the character of Keith rather well. At some point, he seems creepy and a little bit stalky. He definitely gave you these wrong vibes, as the movie is mostly experienced through the eyes of Tess, being the obvious final girl. But he did a fine job with the few moments that he actually has on screen.
I have some of this here wine, but I didn't want to open it before you got out of the shower.
Justin Long playing AJ is definitely my favorite character in the movie. If you can call it a favorite, he's the character that has the most growth, the most interesting things about it, and has a full story arc. You feel something specifically about him when you first get to know him, and as the movie progresses, your opinions start to change right up until the end, and then you have a complete 180, or at least I did.
What are you saying I have to sell my house?
I'm saying you're gonna have to make some tough choices.
I could sell the Michigan properties. Some of those make money, right?
In terms of character work, my gripe is with Tess, the character, not the actress. She's supposed to be the leading lady, the final girl, and to be fair, she was bland and kind of boring. Her whole backstory of why she's there seems a bit contrived, and overall, it doesn't really affect the rest of the story. And as a point of reference, there's a certain point where her character actually gets the police involved, and even they don't like her enough to help her out. Georgina Campbell wasn't awful, she just didn't have any impact, at least not on me. And she was a copy of a copy of a copy of a final girl.
And you make a copy of a copy of a copy, and you end up with something like that.
To be perfectly clear, I did not like this movie at all. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, but I don't get the appeal of it. The movie is mostly separated into 3 acts. The first 40 minutes is Tess and Keith's story told in Tess's viewpoint. The next 20 minutes or so is only the AJ story, and the two converge for the last 40 minutes. So the fact of the matter is, this is all a slow burn. But playing it slow with horror films is not something really new. It it isn't really a slasher film, so you don't have that systematic dispatching of characters every 10 minutes or so to get to the final girl situation, but the movie story slowly reveals itself with at least one scene that tries to explain the mystery behind that secret door. However, I really disliked the prolonged 40 minutes of Tess and Keith's story. It just took too long. The whole thing could have been sliced and diced and cut into a short little 30-minute edit, and we would have still gotten the same creepy vibes from Keith and how much Tess is weary of his behavior. As soon as the movie kicked into gear, it felt like something is happening, but then it slows back down again to tell you the AJ story. And the interesting stuff that you got to see that tries to explain that little mystery is lacking in information. So you're going down a path and then getting to stop and don't know what's going on. So the points of the movie where you wanted less story, you got a bunch of fluff. And then the points where you might have tried to learn something and have something interesting happening, it skips a bunch of it. Like I said, I actually found the movie kind of boring. It has that play by numbers kind of a feel to it, and it's really not that interesting. Justin Long's character AJ was the most interesting part of it all, but even that is only semi-interesting when it comes to the wrap-up. The movie's mystery kind of revolves around supernaturalism or realism. I couldn't even tell. And eventually, when the movie ended, I didn't even care either way. I actually cannot recommend watching this thing. I felt like I wasted about 100 minutes of my life and got nothing out of it. No jump scares, not really, no originality, nothing remotely interesting, and no real enjoyment of the actual story.
I also don't know why you're so calm.
Have a nice day.
So who the fuck is staying in my house? Hello?
I thank you for watching, and remember, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I'll see you on the next video.